Hello, I'm Linda from paperboutique.blogspot.com. Today we're going to make these cute pencil toppers using stamps. You could also make these pencil toppers using your favorite Cricut cartridge or stickers, but I thought it'd be fun to bring out my stamps. Well, let's go ahead and get started. First, I'm going to just very briefly talk about how to make this piece and spend most of our time together today talking about how to do the loop. For these particular toppers, and I'll just slide a couple of them out of the way here, I use stamps that I picked up for $1. They're We Are Memory Keeper stamps, and I honestly can't remember where I purchased them, but I remember that they were $1. And then the ink I'm using is Studio G Chalks and SEI Chalk ink. I love chalk ink. It gives such a nice soft tone. What I did to make these, I just went ahead, and let me show you another one, and stamped using the ink on a piece of cardstock. And I don't know if you can tell, these don't really have, I didn't stamp on background paper, I just stamped on white paper, but this I stamped on some background pattern paper. And I went ahead and stamped, and here's an example of that. And what I did is I stamped and then I inserted the paper, once it was stamped, into a 1-inch paper punch, punched it out like this, and then I just inked the edge by rolling it just like this over the ink. And then I added a rhinestone, and you can do this now or you can do it later. And after I did this, what I did is I punched out 2 circles from using a scallop punch, and this punch is about 1.5 inches. And when I punch circles out, and I'm going to join them, so each one has they're reversible with a front and back, and I didn't decorate the back side, but you could. I always like to line up my scallops and then put an X, line them up where they match. I don't know if you can see that with my hands in the way. So they match perfectly, and put an X there, and we'll come back to that. So after you do your center, I add the rhinestones last. So after you do your center, we're ready to go ahead and make the loops. And I made the loops in some cases just using the same paper. It's a medium, I used a medium weight cardstock for that, and I'll show you in just a moment. This one was a pattern paper, and this one was a little lighter weight, so it just depends on what you have. Today I'm going to show you how to do that using white because I think it'll show better, and this is a medium weight cardstock. So to do the loop or the wrap, you do a piece of paper 1/4 of an inch by 3 inches. And then what I do to get it to curl so it doesn't crease is I just take it in my hand and kind of soften the paper and curl it. I hope I'm in camera here. Let me move these out of the way. So I keep curling it, and I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper so I don't glue on this gray. I like to recycle everything. After you've got it pretty soft, take the pencil, and I found doing this that not all pencils are the same size, believe it or not. Some are different, and like I said earlier, or maybe I didn't say earlier, I picked up these cute Easter pencils in a pack for $1. Let me show you these. I picked up glitter pencils in a package for $1. I just love the glitter look. So let's get back to this. So once you've softened it, what I do is I just wrap it around, and I made this a little longer, and you can trim it later. I just wanted to have something to hold on to. And then what I do is I line it up. I'll get my fingers out of the way, and I press so it's really firm, and you can see there's a crease there. I just kind of made a crease with my fingernail. Then I'll go ahead and remove it, and I'm just using a glue stick. I picked up at Office Depot, and I'll just put the glue there, and then I'll just glue it. I don't think you can see the crease very well, but I can tell, and I'll put the crease and just hold the glue for a minute, and then I like to make sure before I go too far. And there's glue all the way up into that, so I just hold it for a moment. And then what I do, and I don't know if I have one, here's one, I go ahead and put just a clamp or a binder clip, you could use a paper clip there, and I let it dry. Let me close up my glue stick. So I just let it dry, and I have one that I did earlier, and it's just, and you can, like I said, you can keep this on there or trim it depending on how big your topper is. And then I like to just go back before I add it and check. What you want to make sure is that it stays, so when your children are writing or you give it to a teacher, it stays on there and doesn't move. And that one's going to be really firm. And if it doesn't, you can take it out and do another strip of paper. The next step I like to do is I'll just go ahead and I'll put my X up here so you can see the X. And then I just put the glue, a pretty generous amount of glue here. And then what I did is, I'll leave the X showing, I just went ahead and lined up the two edges there, and it just depends on what shape you want to use. And then I'll also, and you didn't really need this much of an overlap, and then I'll go ahead, well, I don't have a clamp handy. I think this one might have dried enough that we can use it. And then just put a clamp. That one's really not long enough, but it's getting the corner. And let it dry. I'll close up my glue stick here. And then after it dries, let's just pretend, go ahead and match up your X's and use your glue stick. And I'm not going to take your time to do that. And then you'll have your little pencil topper. And at this point, you could add this earlier, or you can add it now depending on, you know, what you want to do. Sometimes I found it was easier to add this first, but I definitely found it's easier to add all of the embellishments, like all of these rhinestones, later. And that's all it is. It's just super simple. I mean, start to finish, it's probably, you know, 45-minute project to make all 4 of them. Well, I'd like to thank you for watching, and let me bring in the others. And like I said, I'm in love. One more time, I have to show you the glitter ones. I'm just in love with those, and those would make such cute Easter basket or gifts in your Easter basket. Well, I'd like to thank you for watching, and please visit my blog at www.paperboutique.blogspot.com. Bye-bye.